Hi, welcome to a very interesting episode of Health Bites with Zaita. My name is Sandeep Kaushik and I'm your host for a very special podcast where we are going to talk about why India is known as Pharmaceutical and Medical Technology Workshop for the world. Yes, you heard it right, Workshop for the world. And with me to share about this special subject, I have with me an expert from Zaita Life Sciences, Mr. Arvinder Singh, who has 35 years of experience in the pharmaceutical and medical equipment industry. Welcome, Mr. Arvinder.
Thank you, Sandeep. Thank you for having me here.
So, to coming straight to the point, you heard it that India is considered as the pharmaceutical and medical technology workshop for the world. What makes India a global leader in this field?
It's a very nice question, and if you ask me on this, I could go on and on with this the answer of it. But we'll try to compress and keep it to a few bullet points.
Yeah.
India is very rightly believed to be the pharmaceutical workshop of the world because of several reasons. But few of them is, first of all, anybody who's into pharmaceutical has to meet a lot of compliances.
Yep.
Because it's a very compliance-rich industry.
It is.
And India has the distinction of starting from scratch to scaling it where it is today. And it has really helped evolve the pharmaceutical industry in India to a great extent. Because the systems, processes, and the protocols for any manufacturing unit meet the highest global standards. We have the certification agencies in India which are absolutely non-compromising on any of these. So the products which are finally coming over to the table as a finished product meet the highest global standards in the world. So there are certain certifications like USFDA, there are certifications like WHO GMP, then there's the European Union GMP.
Yeah.
These are more so for pharmaceutical products. And if you talk about the devices, there are certain guidelines like CE certification, which you would have noticed on a few products which you buy.
Yes.
And there's also the ISO guidelines which have to be met. All of these guidelines and all of these certifications are adhered to in a very, very absolute way by all the pharmaceutical units who are functioning in the organized sector in India.
But if I really compare it with, say, pharmaceutical companies across the world, and if I like to compare the Indian companies with the rest of the world and the way they have compliances and they have certifications and they have the quality measures, where do you think India stands?
Oh, India stands on a very tall pedestal. And I say so because if you look at the statistics and data which is available across for the world pharmaceutical industry, the highest number of units which meet USFDA's certifications and the very stringent guidelines are there in India.
Okay.
So that itself speaks volumes about the kind of quality for the kind of systems and processes which are followed by Indian pharmaceutical industry. And it's not a small thing to be the second highest certifications available in a particular country.
Okay.
It really means a lot.
Super. We talked about India is known as pharmacy of the world. Like a lot of people say that. But speaking about that, do you have some success stories which are like exemplary where actually India has shown something which is very unique and can really stand out? Any such success story you'd like to share?
Well, one of them is very recent, which had the entire world in a terrorized area virtually. That was COVID-19.
Yeah, COVID-19. Yeah.
And COVID-19, one of the most sought after commodity at that time was the vaccines. If I have to share the data on that, the COVID-19 vaccines were supplied by Indian manufacturers across the world. And these were supplied to almost 150 countries the world over.
Wow.
That's a lot. Yeah, it is definitely. And that's just a small opinion about to what extent the pharmaceutical industry in India has been there available for the world per se. And not only so, also in terms of, wonderful things which are happening in our domestic areas as well.
Wow.
And other than that, if you look at some of the biggest health issues in the world, for example, there is cancer treatment.
Yeah.
There is endocrinology, where you have things like diabetes and hormonal issues and all. And other than that, also a lot of other areas of grave concern. In all of these, the contributions from the Indian pharma industry are really great. They're really wonderful, and it's been acknowledged the world over for the kind of quality certification, for the kind of innovative products which are being offered by the Indian pharmaceutical industry.
It's so good to hear. I mean, wherever I travel across the world, I always thought about India being an IT giant. I mean, to talk of IT, everybody thinks about India. And now looking at the pharma industry and the medical equipment industry, the way it's growing, I think we're going to create a mark everywhere in the world for that as well. Now, coming back to the global market, I see that as per you, we are equal to almost any other exporting country in the world. We have compliances, we have systems, we have all kind of certifications available. In terms of pricing, where do we stand? I mean, like as compared to exporters across the world, where do we stand in terms of price?
Oh, that's very, very relevant and a very important area of concern, because when it comes to importing products from any country, I think the pricing is something which is of paramount importance, because ultimately it's the economic realities which always come to the forefront for any operation, and India is no exception to that. And I think what I've seen is that if you look at the starting point, the manufacturing units in India and the companies which are into the organized sector as manufacturers in pharmaceuticals have been able to balance and optimize the value versus the costing area very effectively.
Okay.
So the entire cycle of procuring the API to the finished product to the ultimate product which is offered to the client, there are a lot of factors which have been very well balanced by manufacturers in India in terms of not only quality but also innovation.
Yeah.
And if you look at certain areas like biosimilars, which are a big rage in areas of the world like the Latin American areas, Southeast Asia, and also other parts of the world, these are areas which offer a lot of advantage to these countries, because not only are they very effective in terms of the results and the treatment areas, but also in terms of the overall costing, because it's a high barrier and a high profitable area. There's something which we get to know in the South Korean countries, where they follow a system called the Blue Ocean strategy. That's a strategy where, if I have to explain in a few words, is that to be operating into an area where the competition is less but very fierce, but at the same time the areas of success and the chances of making a mark are very high. So it's in a typical way, it's the same Blue Ocean strategy which is being implemented in a different form, of course, in India, where we have the best of the products, the latest of the treatment options, and wonderful therapies which are coming at very, very reasonable prices. In fact,
I really love the word reasonable price. I mean, a lot of time people say that we are looking at some cheaper options. I said, no, you don't look at cheaper options from India. You are looking for a reasonably priced option. I mean, that's the right word.
Yeah. I would put it in a different way, that there's always a difference between cheap and economical. So cheap may be an alternative word for poor quality at a low cost, but economical is where you're not compromising on the quality standards
and giving a decent price.
And you're giving a value for money proposition to the buyer or the customer, and this is actually where it all really matters.
Well, it really matters when you're global standards and offering a reasonable pricing. I mean, that's what really makes India as a hot destination. Now, talking about future trends, innovation, looking at the digital age which is coming up, the biotech, and a lot of advancements coming in the industry for pharma as well as medical. How do you think India is paced to kind of adopt these, or are we working on the new technologies and new systems so that we stay like at par with the global world?
Oh yes, a very intelligent question. And the viewpoint that I would like to put across to you in this is that uh, in India there's a lot of investment which is being made on research and development.
Uh-huh.
And this is just not for the sake of saying, because we look at some of the very new startups in the health arena, which are doing some very very innovative work.
Yeah.
And not only this, they're also coming into putting the resources and the brains and the hearts together to developing newer areas in terms of innovating the existing therapies via biosimilars and also other areas, but also in terms of wearable tech, which is the future to be, is another area where a lot of development is happening.
Yeah.
One area where all these pharma companies are also putting in a lot of their resources are in terms of preventive health, because preventing a particular health area well in time before it happens is far more economical than when the disease strikes. Not everybody is prepared to handle that the onslaught of that
Disease,
or the trauma of that particular hit for any individual or a family. So I think a lot of work is being put in by a lot of these companies, putting all their resources to bring to the table some lot of innovations on the health area,
which is very important. And I think looking at the global pharma industry, medical equipment industry, a lot of bigger companies also are doing their research in India. Okay, so now coming back to the people, like I would say the people who import a pharmaceutical product, or people who are like international buyers, wants to buy and procure from India, what suggestion would you give it to them in terms of how they can find the right partner, how they can look at making sure that the partners deliver good quality products, and of course keeping everything in the right way, and also a long-term relationship, because I think everybody wants to work with people who have some experience, or maybe people who can provide a lot of stuff. So what are your thoughts? What's the advice you're going to give to buyers who are watching this episode and they want to work with India? What are the things they should look forward to?
I think it's very simple. Anybody who's buying a product from anybody will look for majorly three elements. The first one is the credibility. From where they're buying. The source who is helping them get to their target product, he must have a credibility.
Okay.
In terms of not only the trust part of it, but also in terms of a good knowledge of not only the market and the marketing areas, but also in terms of the geographical
areas
part as far as the entire thing is concerned. The second thing is competency. They must have an absolute understanding of how the entire process is functioning, and what exactly will be the kind of documentary areas which they may require, what are the kind of compliances which they may encounter, what are the kind of regulatory issues which they might come across. So all those areas is these two of course are very important, but the third most important factor is the chemistry.
Okay.
When I say chemistry, it's not just in terms of the technical language jargon, but it's in terms of understanding the entire climate as far as how things function in a country like India.
Okay.
And India can be a very, very pleasant experience for people who keep these areas in mind. But at the same time, if you get entangled with not the right kind of associate,
also,
it might become
I think that's true with every country. I mean, whatever business you are into, whatever line you are into, if you don't find the right people in that country, I think the experience can be. So you're very right. I think as a buyer, you need to really vet the people, the person whom you work with, have to be credible and have that knowledge about your segment. So I absolutely agree with you.
Yeah, because what I have always felt and what I always discuss within our team also is that you will have to effort, for your objective or whatever is the target in your mind. The only difference will be that are you putting in your effort before the issue strikes, or is it after you've landed up into a situation.
Okay.
So I think a preemptive homework on all these very, very important, subtle, discrete, but very relevant areas is of a lot of importance for anybody, let it be any area.
Super. As always, thank you so much, Arvinder, for your inputs. I mean, 35 years of experience in the industry, and You have very diverse experience, and talking about the pharma as well as medical industry, medical equipment industry, I think it's a great place to be. Thank you for sharing your views, your wisdom. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching this episode and if you are a buyer, a global buyer, looking forward to work with India, you need to really work with the right people. So selection of right people is very critical. And of course, look at the 360-degree solutions which you are getting from people. So keep watching Health Bites with Zaita. We'll keep getting you more information about the Indian pharma industry, its products, the medical equipment industry, and a lot more. Thank you so much. Take care.